Hey nerds, recently the Nerds of Color was able to sit down with star Himesh Patel about his new role in the latest Christopher Nolan blockbuster, Tenet. We were fortunate enough to share this opportunity with Aaron Wen-A Chu from AsAm News, and we would love to share this with you as well. Without further ado, here it is.
Okay, so your character in Tenet is Mahir, who I read is a fixer. Can you tell us a little bit more about your character and his significance in the film?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I don't want to give too much away. He is a fixer, he kind of comes into the plot as the protagonist starts to unravel the mystery of what it is. I kind of come in to help him out during a very kind of risky mission.
Great. Mike, you can go. Oh.
Yeah, of course.
Giving too much away, Himesh. The way that I always saw him, your character, he's kind of the wheelman. In like a heist movie, you have like your Baby Driver character, because I see you interacting with boats and kind of driving the boats, and you probably have the centerpiece scene in the movie, the scene that we've seen so many times in the trailer, where we have to dramatically crash a plane into a building. You're kind of taking the lead on that. What was that like? I know Chris likes to do a lot of practical effects. Were you kind of on these physical sets, like driving the boats and driving the planes and doing all these kinds of crazy things as well?
Yeah, I think I got your question. I got the was I on set physically driving the boats and all that?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was. I mean, when you work with someone like Chris, what makes his film special is that he does it all in camera. There's no kind of cheating anything really afterwards. So it was an actual plane, a retired 747 that we commandeered, and yeah, it was very exciting to get to go to set every day, and there's just an actual plane there, I mean, I'll never do anything like it again, probably, unless I get to work with Chris again. Yeah.
So I was also interested in wondering kind of what made you, I guess, first interested in kind of getting involved with the film, and what was it like working with like basically a Bollywood legend like Dimple Kapadia?
Yeah, I mean, to be in a film with a cast like this, especially for someone like Dimple Kapadia is huge. I grew up watching her movies, so it was a pretty special thing to be in a movie alongside her. And yeah, in terms of approaching the project, for me, I'm at a stage in my career where I still have to audition for these things. So, it wasn't like one that I went, hey, can I be in this movie? And they just said yes. So I just got an email from my agent about this thing, and I had sides from not from the movie, so I had no idea what it was until I got the role. So yeah, it was all due process, as it were. But there was never any point at which I was going, no, I'm not sure this is the one for me, because it's Chris Nolan, it's his new movie. It doesn't matter what it is, you're going to say yes.
If I could ask really quickly, much like Jack Malik in a certain movie last year, that was probably one of the most charming movies I'd seen all year last year. You've seen this kind of meteoric rise. Yesterday was really your first film, and now you're doing Chris Nolan blockbusters. What's that been like for you, just going from, charming romantic comedies to huge grand scale blockbusters?
Yeah, it's like a whole other scale of filmmaking, really. But there are similarities in terms of, Yesterday still had a pretty sizable budget, but I think yeah, it's pretty exciting to kind of then take it to the next level and be working with like IMAX cameras as I say, actual planes and speedboats, and be part of the tapestry of a movie like this is pretty exciting. You know, these are the kind of films that people will kind of be watching for a long, long time to come. So it's a real privilege to be part of them.
I was also interested just in, I guess, a different topic, and a lot of your work is in with obviously with the BBC, a lot of the BBC content that's coming out. But I was also interested in wondering we always talk about, I guess, the importance of authentic Asian, I'll put it, Asian diaspora type stories kind of being made in Hollywood or in kind of Western film industry. But I wanted to kind of hone in on the idea of, I guess, the South Asian identity. How do you feel that there is a lot more South Asian representation and stories coming out in Western, I guess, film and TV, or do you think we're still kind of like at the beginning and there needs to be a lot more?
I think we're making some healthy strides towards better representation. You've got some really great creatives from more diverse backgrounds, kind of like being able to tell stories that they want to tell in the way they want to tell them. That's really exciting. And you know, you're seeing actors being cast in roles that they maybe even 10 years ago wouldn't have been considered for. Those are healthy strides forward. I think it's about capitalizing on them. It's about never kind of resting. It's about kind of going, let's keep doing better. Let's keep making people aware that this is something that doesn't get solved overnight. It takes constant work and constant collaboration to kind of move the story forward, as it were.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask the question that I sort of asked John David last week. There's a lot of, I took away from this movie, a lot of subversive messaging about the potential for people of color to help with bringing order from chaos on things. The same way that kind of inversion works, you're playing a pivotal role in kind of helping Tenet, the organization, really bring order into the world. Did you get the similar message when you were reading the script? And if so, do you think that there is kind of this underlying message about the potential for people of color to help bring order into a lot of the chaos in society's problems, or, you know, even in the industry?
I guess I can't really speak to whether that was there to begin with, but I think it's powerful to have a movie like this where you've got, John David playing the lead. You've got a really diverse cast of characters from different backgrounds, playing different sorts of roles in the movie. That's really important, and it's really great that you've got arguably the most exciting blockbuster filmmaker in Hollywood doing this sort of thing with his movies and making them truly international. It's a positive thing for the industry, and yeah, it's a positive thing for storytelling. We all interpret stories in different ways based on our own experiences of the world, and I think it's whether the messaging is implied or whether it's only inferred. I think it's great that it's there, that it looks like that, so that it can be interpreted as such.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we're up to our final question. So my final question is, Asian males have been represented in Western media in very negative, stereotypical roles. They're either very awkward, asexual, and I guess, what we see, particularly with South Asian men, they're either driving taxis or, playing roles which are not, I guess, they're not positive stereotypes. Your character obviously, is like, driving boats, doing very things which challenge that stereotype. And so I was wondering, in kind of like in your perspective, as a Asian male, and more specifically as a South Asian male, how do you think your character, and more broadly, how do you feel you could contribute in changing that narrative of Asian male stereotypes?
I think it takes conversation, honest conversation, you know, and you have to be fortunate if the person that you're working with is open to that sort of conversation, which can happen, and it does happen. And I think, you know, this being in lockdown, can you hear me? I think my head just died. So,
yep.
I think being in lockdown has kind of meant that I've had the time to reflect on my personal journey over the last few years and how I can use my sort of position of privilege to, tell new stories, tell different stories, tell the kind of stories that I want to tell, that people like me want to see on screen. And hopefully I can do that.
And I think, if I may ask my final question, I asked the same thing to John David, and I think I'm just projecting because I want to see more inversion. But would you want to play Mahir again in a Tenet sequel? Because I feel like there's a lot more to explore with this character, and there's a lot more to explore with this world and the rules that Chris sets up. Would you want to do a Tenet too?
Yeah, look, I mean, I personally at the moment just want to do a Chris Nolan too. You know, I loved working with him. I loved being a part of this movie, and I love being part of something that's completely unique. And yeah, so whatever Chris does next, I'll buy a ticket to that. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's exactly what I say before every Chris Nolan movie. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.